Hey, podcast listeners, it's Savannah here, producer of Corporate Competitor Podcast. And as you know, Dawn and our entire team became part of the Maxwell Leadership family in 2022. Well, today you have the opportunity to become our teammates too. There are many of you who are listening right now who would love to launch your own business or start coaching other people. And we have a phenomenal strategy where you are 100% in control of your own business. When you become a Maxwell Leadership certified team member, you join a global community of entrepreneurs led by our expert team of mentors and faculty, including John C. Maxwell. Plus, you will get one of the top leadership certifications in the world next to your name, giving you the boost you need to get started. Visit us online at maxwellleadership.com/join the team to find out more information.
What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? They learned important lessons on the fields and courts of their high school and collegiate sports teams. This is true for both men and women. Ernst & Young found that a whopping 94% of women holding a C-suite position played sports. Their wins and losses shaped their habits and who they would become. Join me on my journey to sit with some of the brightest executives in the world as we discuss how sports shape their professional trajectory. In partnership with Chief Executive Magazine, the voice of America's CEO community. I'm your host, Don Yeager, and this is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is Kevin Simzer, Chief Operating Officer of Trend Micro, a leader in the cybersecurity space. His 30 years of experience in the industry includes product development at Nortel, executive roles at Intrust, and several board positions. It's my pleasure to introduce Kevin as the father of three and the lover of hockey, and I am excited to learn how growing up on a dairy farm shaped the leader he is today. All of my notes from today's episode will be available in our downloadable bonus resource on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com/129.
The brakes on the car allowed us to make cars go faster. People think that brakes on a car are meant to just slow the car down. Truly think about it. The faster the cars need to go, the better the braking system that you need to have. We're enabling innovation within companies to happen. We might be the brakes on the car, but we're not there to slow things down. We're actually there to make you go faster.
Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Don. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You know, Kevin, you are pretty well known within Trend Micro for your use of sports analogies when you are relaying information. Why is it that sports analogies work so well for you?
The dynamics around recruiting a team, enabling it with solid playbooks, executing those plays and practicing them had a big impact on me in my youth. I played a lot of competitive sports, and there's a lot of comparisons to business. And I think even those trenders, we call ourselves trenders, there's 7,500 of us, even trenders that maybe didn't grow up playing sports competitively really resonate with it. When I say practice, think about our sports days, Don. Oftentimes we would watch the videotape.
You're dating yourself.
35 years ago and 35 pounds ago. So probably one of the hardest jobs. You've recruited a fabulous, diverse talent pool, and you need to be equipped with these playbooks, and it's important to practice. With us, the big day is when we get a customer meeting. Cybersecurity industry is a very competitive market, and while we focus in on threat actors, at the end of the day, it's getting a customer meeting that's the most important. We want to be able to tell our story as flawlessly as possible. We want to hit all of our key differentiators. We want to make sure that that customer gets the full picture of what Trend can do in order to stop threat actors. I want to make sure that our team is fully equipped with all the background knowledge on the platform that we offer, everything about it. And after a customer meeting, we will debrief how that meeting went to get feedback from internal trenders.
Right. For those who might struggle sometimes with, gosh, our sports analogy is overused. No, in athletics, you watch game film for a reason. Film doesn't lie. Well, a post-mortem review, those are such valuable experiences. And you guys probably grow much during those windows.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing like getting feedback from a subject matter expert to tell you that I'm completely emphasizing the wrong set of points. In sports, when you see that you're in the complete wrong position, there's nothing more acute for you to say, oh, duh, that's why that play didn't unfold the way it was designed, because I was doing the wrong thing. I was emphasizing the wrong points. There's nothing like that reflection that happens after the fact.
I love it. You mentioned competitive sports. I know you grew up in Canada on a dairy farm. But in addition to milking cows, Canadian youth hockey, my gosh, don't think I've ever experienced competitiveness
Mm.
quite like what happens on the ice in Canada. Tell me, what did you learn about that journey from that environment that served you well and helped you as you've grown into the professional you've become?
It was fantastic. I feel like I had a picture perfect youth and learned a lot. Growing up on a dairy farm taught me about life. 7 days a week, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, doing my chores, and then hopping on the bus and going to school, and then returning at the end of the day at 4 p.m. and starting the chores all over again. Oh, there's got to be more to life than this. So I decided to do undergrad in engineering. I continued my sports and participate where I could. And I fundamentally believe that individuals don't deliver, teams deliver. There's nothing more powerful than a hockey team to actually demonstrate that. What I particularly love about hockey, Don, is how fast it is. You don't see it in a lot of other sports. And when you can change players on the fly, that's such a
Wow.
profoundly different attribute of the game of hockey than other sports. And when that coach is behind you and they call your number, you have to hit the ice and know the plays, execute those plays. I'm going to skate my butt off during my shift. It's really representative of life. Gosh, in this tech world, things are moving so fast. You have to make split second decisions. When we get that customer meeting, your number's been called. It's all on.
You have no idea what role you might be asked to play in a presentation. You have to be ready, which means you have to have done the prep work long before it. Then you have to make decisions. Who do you put in?
Exactly. And if a team is struggling, we would shake up the lines to see if we could create that spark. For the longest time, I played center. And then next thing you know, you realize that, oh, the opponents are getting a lot bigger and I'm better off on the wing. And we had one of those super big centermen that filled in. So finding the spot where your talents can truly, truly lift off. That's what we do in business
Mm.
here at Trend. Everybody's competent and capable, but getting them in the environment where truly their talents are lifted up and they thrive in that environment. Sometimes it requires some changing up of the players and movement within the team into different positions. I'm constantly trying to play with the teams a little bit and try people in different roles to get that spark.
What a great analogy. Man, that's powerful. Now, I do have to tell you, I've never thought about cybersecurity and immediately correlate to an NHL contest.
That's actually something we just did a few months ago in October. You know, we're a really global company. We operate in over 100 countries, and I have leaders around the globe. I flew them all in to Dallas, where we hosted a few days of leadership meetings to get ourselves all aligned on our vision, our direction, and specifically our plans for 2023. I said, look, folks, we're now playing at the NHL level, but I don't think we're quite playoff ready yet. Let's talk about what it takes to make the playoffs. We went to a game to kick off that session, and it was an exhibition game, Don. Most everyone had the exact same idea about exhibition games. Oh, this is disappointing. Why are we here? I love exhibition games.
Yeah.
Coaches are experimenting, trying out the early career talent and see who's ready to truly step up. Are they actually willing and able to step up? Conversely, players are really, really trying to make themselves stand out. They're playing for glory. You can get some of the most exciting, actually, the most variable hockey in an exhibition game.
Right.
I didn't feel that the spark necessarily happened at the game, but we started our leadership meetings the following couple of days. We started to talk about talent in certain areas. Then all of a sudden, people could connect the dots. It only takes one example. And then the next thing you know, there are other examples from around the globe of people that we could make a bet on that they, in fact, could be the ones that are going to step up and be our big goal scorers or big defense players throughout the season. Business is all about people. We've got lots of people that all been at trend for a while, but who are the people that we're going to rely on that are going to be the ones that are going to step up and that we're really going to count on to take us to become a playoff team?
I love it. I might look at an exhibition game differently.
I encourage you to.
Yeah. You just used a word that we love to ask about. I now speak most often to corporations. And one of the words that I get troubled by sometimes dealing with corporate executives is their use of the word team.
Mm,
Our team, my team. Truth is, if you really dig, you'll find that it's just a bunch of individual contributors who happen to be employed at the same place. You've been part of teams, you're building teams. If you are looking at taking a group of individual contributors and trying to mold them into a team, what are some of the things you would advise a young leader to help make that transition?
mhm. Trust.
That's it.
A lot of people think, okay, cybersecurity is a very, very busy industry. There's over 5,000 cybersecurity companies out there. But we don't actually think about those cybersecurity companies as competitors. We're actually really focused in on the threat actors themselves. And if we get all of our team members focused in on those threat actors, the bad guys, we have a common mission together. We're superheroes. We're the ones that are truly out there stopping these bad guys. And when you have a common vision like that, that sort of forms a foundation for people's psyche and how they're thinking about our company and the world.
If they imagine that they're coming to work as a superhero, that's a pretty good gig.
Yeah. And, eventually it connects to people wanting to do a better job. Eventually it connects to people showing up at practice and truly contributing. Eventually it shows up to, okay, I'm actually going to trust that person who was just appointed our key defenseman. I'm going to trust them because I know they're well equipped. When individual contributors start to trust one another, sparks can happen and people start to collaborate more because they, in fact, trust one another just that much more. So we really try to emphasize trust, and it can really be found in a number of different places. But when a player on that team isn't showing up to practice and is not necessarily equipped in order to contribute, you're not going to trust that person. So it sort of pushes everybody to make sure that we are doing our part as individuals and truly looking across the different functions, the radial web. Same with sports. You can't have 5 skaters on the ice and they're all offensive forwards. You need the entire team to be functioning cohesively in order to truly accomplish the goals that the team has. You don't just need a goal scorer. You need to have lots of different positions within the team, and everybody's got to contribute But if they trust one another, oh my, magic.
So trust equals magic. Great formula. Is one of the ways that you get them to feel their superhero status your ability to constantly remind them who we're up against?
Absolutely. Like any tech company, we have a lot of collaboration tools, and we make sure that teams are well equipped with knowing what these threat actors, these bad guys, are truly up to. It doesn't matter what function you're in. Some people think it's just a tech oriented thing, but somebody in our back office, corporate services, even they recognize what an important mission we're on in order to fight these bad guys.
And when you can get mission alignment
Mm.
from corporate services to your front line, you start getting that discretionary energy, bringing a little bit more to the workplace. And
Yeah,
that's where great things happen.
absolutely. Absolutely. I suppose it's trite to say, oh, well, let's go win the NHL Stanley Cup. Oh, anybody can stand in a locker room and say that. But having a mission that's truly grounded and people can personalize it, like the threat actors often have names or organizations. We know who they are. It really does personalize it for everybody. And we can truly ground ourselves and feel good at the end of the day, knowing what we accomplished.
Wow. Pretty scary world you live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read a little bit about the cybersecurity industry. There's currently a 0% unemployment rate in the industry and about 3 million jobs on the horizon. I've not really heard of an industry that has that kind of a trajectory. You're running the company you have today, but you have to be thinking about the company you're going to run 5 years from now. How are you helping to build through that gap?
That's a fantastic question. Farm teams.
Mm.
We're absolutely obsessed with what I refer to as early career talent. We formalized it 5 years ago, where we started to build out programs around the globe, these centers, Don, where we are grabbing up local talent and curate it in our farm teams. This raw talent might not have even spent any time in cybersecurity. We definitely hire them, we pay them, and we put them through quite a bit of training. Not just training on cybersecurity, by the way. A lot of the training, Don, is about themselves as well. A lot of soft skills helping to put an imprint on them. It's a fantastic program. We've hired thousands to onboard them into trends. So we have this steady flow of potential talent that is moving through the organization. Sometimes they actually don't end up staying at trend, by the way. They will go and work for one of our channel partners, and that's okay because we have put an imprint on them and had a huge impression on their early career. So we feel like that's an investment for the industry, but selfishly, it is for trend as well.
That's such a powerful lesson for the rest of us. Our job is to go find people that are just looking for really awesome employment and then developing them into what we need them to be.
Exactly. We don't like to hire mercenaries, teams trading for the number one goal scorers. That's not our philosophy. We truly do feel like starting an early career program and moving within the organization up is the way to go. So most of our leaders are promote from within. We do have a program we call Lead about curating future leaders within the company. It's another big step as we take people to the next level.
In one of the presentations I often make talking to organizations, I talk about great teams. And the opening chapter of that book is about mercenaries. Most teams have mercenaries and the other half patriots,
Mhm.
those who believe in what you're doing, those who are with you until they can make a dollar more somewhere else. I
Mhm.
love that you use that word. That's so powerful.
During the Bulls dynasty, I lived in Chicago. Subsequently, I read Phil Jackson's book. Statistically, the Bulls would do better when Michael Jordan didn't dominate the game. They got the team performing where a lot of players were participating, and it wasn't just a Michael Jordan show. You can't rely on just one person over here. It takes the village. It takes the village.
Man, well, you are in such an amazing industry, and you had a fascinating observation. You compared innovation there to the development of a braking system alongside the automobile.
Yeah, I probably did say that in an interview because I like to use it. You can't attribute that just to me. That's been within our company. And a lot of people think that brakes on a car are meant to just slow the car down. But if you truly think about it, the brakes on the car have allowed us to make cars truly go faster. The
Mm.
faster the cars need to go, actually, the better the braking system that you need to have. It's just a different perspective, and it's one we think of in cybersecurity. But in the old days, we were the just say no people, and we were not well liked. But now we're in this mode of we're enabling business transformation to happen. We're enabling innovation within companies to happen. We might be the brakes on the car, but we're not there to slow things down. We're actually there to make you go faster.
Wow. I'm sure everybody listening to this, their wheels are spinning. The importance of what cybersecurity brings into our life today. Gosh, it seems like you hear every day there's something going on. With all the things that you face organizationally, every day something new comes your way. How do you balance work and life?
Mm. I don't like thinking about it in terms of balance. Think of a teeter-totter. One is up, the other is down. I prefer to integrate the two. So me and my lovely wife and our three kids, we try to integrate things as much as possible. So it's completely okay for us to have a work trip where the family attends. Oh, look, I don't have to actually balance things. I've integrated it all. We're a very family oriented company. We recognize that we might be in a wonderful industry with a great career, but at the end of the day, it's family first. So we try our best to allow that type of integration to happen. I've been a bit surprised post COVID at companies that force people back to work. Absolutely ludicrous. I don't understand why they're going down that path. We've learned a lot through COVID. We're leaving it up to a team. We're landing in a hybrid spot. And that's all part of family first. It allows people the flexibility to get their job done and still balance family time. I can't speak to their environments, but I fundamentally would advise any leader against some of these truly puzzling work environments, in particular with a tech company. Like, why would you be so bold to actually try to force people back to work?
As a lifelong learner, it strikes me that you probably spend a fair amount of your day not just solving problems, but learning about issues. You probably look at other leaders and you study them in some way. Is there a leader out there that you're watching carefully, maybe learning a little bit from?
I do admire people that have been able to completely transform a company that was truly almost down and out, like Microsoft. Satya is an incredible leader. Yes, they've had missteps around this whole office environment for sure, but I follow them in terms of some of their strategy and their thinking and then what they've done.
Yeah. I spent 30 years in a journalism career asking great coaches, great athletes, if they could identify one habit built into their daily routines that they believe allowed them to separate themselves from competitors. Is there a habit that you believe has been a difference maker for you, something that you built regularly into who you are?
Mhm. I won't talk about my vice for red wine, so I think that's a different habit that I might have to deal with. But,
Well, if that's
I,
helped you separate yourself from competitors, then keep
yeah,
drinking, brother.
yeah. You touched on it. I'm just inherently curious about everything. Our industry in particular, it's so important that you're constantly learning. Like whenever I watch some of these other organizations, I learn about technology. I'm just insanely curious about everything. And curiosity helps to set me personally up to be a more effective leader. I'm not saying I'm the best at all, but certainly a more effective leader and helps us set ourselves apart from the competition at the end of the day. We're going to try to do things differently. That's the way you win.
I love it. Kevin, how can our listeners connect with you and maybe learn more about Trend Micro?
Oh, for sure. I'd highly encourage you to go to our public website, www.trendmicro.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I would love to engage. We're very active on LinkedIn. Those would be the two places that I would mention to the listeners.
Kevin, I have to tell you, I have taken all kinds of notes. I've enjoyed today's conversation. I hope you have as well. But I want to thank you today for being a corporate competitor with us.
Thank you, Don. I really appreciate the opportunity.
What a fun conversation. I have to admit, he was just opening my eyes about line shifts and the connection between hockey and business. Kevin was on it today. But I really was impacted by his discussion around the fact that there are 5,000 competitors of his company out there in the world, but that they organizationally don't think of those 5,000 competitors as their opponent, threat actors, the bad guys who are out there trying to steal our credit card numbers, bad guys. When you look at that group of people as who you are trying to disengage and you're trying to save the good actors, you actually have a common mission, 9,200 people with a common mission, and they begin to feel themselves like superheroes. Imagine coming to work every day as a superhero thinking, I'm going to make a difference. When we talk about creating feel it moments within your organization, that team is doing it. Loved the concept of farm teams. They are obsessed with early career talent, finding people that may not have thought of cybersecurity as their career path, but to get them in and teach them what it means to be in the industry. So several years ago, they started developing these centers around the globe, taking people, actually making a difference and developing talent that would ultimately grow into filling the roles necessary at a company in an industry with a 0% unemployment rate. Crazy. The third real jump out to me was his discussion about brakes. Most people think brakes are there to make you go slower. The truth is, brakes allow you to go faster. I had never thought of it that way until reading his line. Kevin makes this great case that while many people used to think of the cybersecurity team or the IT team as the no people in their organization, the truth is, when they do their job well, they enable innovation to happen, much like the compliance director at some financial services firms that I work with. They're often thought of as the no people. The truth is, they should be seen just like the brakes. If they do their job right, they allow you to go faster. They allow you to be more innovative. Lessons from Kevin today are ones I can immediately imagine applying into our organization. I am so grateful that he joined us today and that we're all going to leave as better corporate competitors. If you could share one habit, one thing you've done consistently that allowed you to separate yourself from your competitors, what would it be? In my 30-year career, 2,500 of the greatest athletes, coaches, and leaders answered that question for me.
This is Don Yeager, who did that that article I was telling you about.
Don, Dave Simzer with Coach K. How you doing?
Hey, Don. How you doing, my man? Great, sir.
What they gave to me is what I'm giving to you in my online course, Journey to Greatness. Through engaging storytelling and on-demand videos, you will learn the 16 habits that will jumpstart your personal growth. I will instruct you on how to apply these winning characteristics to your life through custom workbook exercises. We are slashing the price for our podcast listeners. Lifetime access to Journey to Greatness is normally $399, but for our podcast listeners, it will be $49 with the code podcast at checkout. Click the banner on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to enroll. Thanks for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you left us a rating and a review. We will be rolling out a new episode every Wednesday. To be the first to listen, subscribe to the podcast on our website, corporatecompetitorpodcast.com. Plus, as a thank you gift, you will receive a free chapter from one of my best-selling books on the habits of high-performing teams. Stay in touch by connecting with me on social media at Don Yeager, Yaeger, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next week, I appreciate you.